What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Healthcare Hustle Podcast. Today, we are joined by Tameka Stigers, founder and owner of Locs of Glory, a unique professional salon based in St. Louis, offering a wide range of beauty enhancement services and much more. Tameka, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited to have you. It's great to get to talk with you, and I'm sure the people are going to be excited about what you have to share. Could you go ahead and start off by telling us a little bit about your story?
Wow. Okay, let me give you a condensed version because it could go on forever. I am a St. Louis native, born and raised in the North City of St. Louis. Some would say, a hard place to grow up, and I would definitely agree. But I am definitely not a product of that environment, as I was able to find a way out of the things that was going on around me. I'm very proud to be an entrepreneur today, a wife, mother, and a philanthropist at this point. So, yeah.
So, for those, because we have listeners all over the country and some around the world, I believe, if I've looked at the statistics correctly. So, could you give us a little more detail about what it was like growing up in North St. Louis and some of those struggles specifically?
Yeah, so in the city of St. Louis, which some may know of, St. Louis as the Arch, St. Louis Cardinals, St. Louis, the history is very racially divided. Some historical context, the Scott, Dred Scott case, with slavery, and some people would say, even though we're in the Midwest, the state of Missouri really could be considered a southern state. So the city of St. Louis is kind of divided. I work. My salon is located on Delmar, and Delmar is historical. Is historical for being the dividing line, if you will, through the city. Where north of Delmar was a lot of poverty, pretty much predominantly black. South of Delmar, not the same. So I grew up North City, Delmar, in a neighborhood called the Ville, very historical neighborhood, home of the old Annie Malone Children's Home. And Annie Malone is definitely a hero, a shero of mine, from the work that she did in the cosmetology field, and cultivating that for women like myself. And yeah, it was a hard, childhood, but I think growing up in it, I didn't see that. I didn't feel it. There was definitely poverty, a lot of things that I can get into, but that's the history of, Delmar, and the Delmar divide, and just the division of the city along racial lines. And so, yeah.
Tameka, thank you for providing that backdrop. Because as you said, Delmar Boulevard is like literally prime example in colleges around the world about racial segregation and just the impact of that kind of policy on a modern day city. So with that being said, can you talk about just kind of the career and the educational path that you had before starting Locs of Glory? Because I just found it fascinating just knowing just your mind and your brain and what you had your dream set on and then what your dream ended up becoming with where you are now. So can you just kind of take us through, excuse me, that journey and what that looked like?
Yeah, so growing up in the Ville neighborhood, I would have gone to Sumner High School, if you're familiar with that location. Currently, like today, they may have, it's definitely less than 100 students that attend the school. The school is always on the chopping block to be closed almost every year. But because of the history of Sumner High School being one of the only Black high schools in the city, and they have a strong alumni presence, it doesn't get, closed down. So that was one of the high schools. And by the time I was in middle school, I would have gone to what is now closed, Beaumont High School. Um, and I just have to just give credit to God and how God created me. I always wanted something different from the earliest of ages. I always wanted something different. So I said, I don't want to go to these schools. I was in a middle school in the neighborhood, kids fighting. It was a bad thing to be smart, to want to learn. And I just didn't want that. And it wasn't that I saw a lot of difference around me, because that's everything it was. So it was something that God put in me. And I took a long time for me to realize that. But I didn't go to either one of those high schools. I was attending a church, and a lot of the kids are white, mostly white and black. This church was dedicated to racial reconciliation. And a lot of those kids went to a high school called Westminster Christian Academy. Now, my mom was rarely around. I lived with my mom and my grandma predominantly. Dad wasn't around. I didn't meet my father until I was in the 5th grade. So I told the people at the church, I want to go to this school where all these kids go to. At that time, I'm like, I'm a Christian. I'm a good person. I want to go over here to this nice school. I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. Do you hear me? And the people at the church made it happen. So I went to Westminster Christian Academy from 8th grade and graduated. And just being in that environment, the next logical step was to go to college. It wasn't even a question. The only question was which college. I hadn't seen anybody in my family go to college, but there was something that I wanted to do something different. I wanted more for myself and for my family. And as I grew older, I was like, I want to break these generational curses. So as a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. Y'all watch the Cosby Show, right? And so the Cosby Show was like the epitome of like Black family to me.
Mhm.
And I wanted to be just like Dr. Huxtable. I wanted to deliver babies and just be a help. And I did not become a doctor in that sense. Uh, and so, yeah, I went on to college and came back home and ended up raising 4 of my siblings right after college. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, Nigel, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You sounded like you were about to come with some heat.
No, not just any heat. Just number one, Tameka, thank you for your vulnerability, like off the cuff. Because I feel like, and I didn't want to, put you on blast, but if you don't mind me asking, what's your generation? How would you identify generationally? When did you come up? Like,
So I am over 40. Yes, I know I don't look it, but yeah, I was born in 81, so I'm an
okay.
80s baby,
See, that's no, it's
Um,
beautiful though. I appreciate you sharing that because
yeah,
well, it's beautiful and it's unfortunate that I feel like so many kids still could have a similar experience to you in the city of St. Louis, not just in the Lou, obviously, but other places, but definitely in St. Louis, where just not literally seeing someone like in your family that has ever been in college or being in an environment that doesn't necessarily foster the dream. It doesn't
yeah,
necessarily cultivate the interest. It's something where I feel like it takes individuals like yourself to literally be the person that people can see. So it was just really dope to hear you say Annie Malone was your Shiro. I'm
mhm.
very sure that you are a Shiro to other people now. So I just wanted to make that connection because I thought that
Thank
was
you for that.
really cool.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thanks for being so honest and being so vulnerable right off the beginning of the show. Um, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what it was like when you got to college, if that was a cultural shock for you, if there was any growth that needed to kind of happen, get into that environment from where you had been before.
So I went to Southeast Missouri State down in Cape Girardeau, just a couple hours outside of St. Louis. Um, I was accepted into a school that I really wanted to go to, which was St. Louis University, and I would have stayed on campus. In hindsight, I say hindsight is 2020, right? So I got scholarships. I had, I think, to pay about $8,000, and I'm like, I don't have $8,000. I didn't have the parents. I didn't have anybody really saying, oh, these are some options. So I went where I could go that was going to be the least expensive, right? I enjoyed my time at Southeast Missouri State. Wasn't a big cultural shock because I was the only Black girl in my class at Westminster. So going to a predominantly white institution was not a big deal to me. Um, I grew leaps and bounds at Southeast Missouri State. I went to college as a sophomore, really. I had about almost 30 hours of college credit coming out of high school because it was a college prep high school. Um, I really enjoyed my time in college. After I graduated, I'm like, I should have did another year, but that wasn't my calling. I was involved. I made lots of friends. I joined a sorority. I was on student government. I partied hard, I studied hard. Yeah, I enjoyed college. It was a great time for me.
So what was it like? You said you graduated, got your degree, you're accomplished, come back to St. Louis, and then you raise your four siblings, is what you said, correct?
Yeah, so I wanted to go to medical school.
Okay.
So I did this wonky degree because I didn't want to take a lot of classes so I have an interdisciplinary degree with emphasis in science and math because I wanted to go to medical school. And I did a summer program in Chicago with four big medical schools there. Like I was gung ho, right? And I said, okay, well, I don't have what it takes to get in this year. I'll go to and get a master's degree. I'll do something and try it again. But when I came home, I was called to take care of my siblings, and I said, "Wow, so this medical school thing is not gonna probably not gonna happen right now." And I was okay with that because my siblings needed me. My grandmother was raising four of them, and she was old. And I said, "Could she keep raising them? Yeah, she
Mm,
could have." And they would have had the things they needed to survive in life. But I wanted them to have more than that. My
mm.
grandma didn't drive. She didn't do anything. Like if they were to go anywhere, it would be somebody else doing it. And I wanted them to have more of a life as a family with a unit that we can go do things. I could go to their school and I wanted that for them. So that was a sacrifice I made. And I ended up going to get my master's degree at the same time. Um, And so that's what I did. And I said, I'm okay. Medical school is not what I'm going to do. And I got married too that first year out of the year after I graduated. So a lot of things happened right after college. Four kids, husband, and then 2 years later, I went and got my started my master's program.
Wow. I
Yeah.
don't know what was in the water back then, because that
Mhm.
is it is amazing. And it's quite honestly, it's quite a lot for a young person to take on. I could imagine.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was it was it was a lot. The probably most uh the hardest part of it was to have a man that really showed interest in me and wanted to spend the rest of his life with me with these four kids.
Hmm.
Dad's like, she don't go, she got kids. People try to stay away from women or men that already have kids. And so he was like, no, I don't care about none of that. I see you. And so that was a big deal to me to be able to also show my siblings, like, I
Oh
want to
wow.
be able to model for you what it looks like to have someone truly care about you, truly love you. And so we raised them together.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very beautiful. It's things that you don't see. I could talk a lot about or just ask you a lot of life lesson type questions based on that. But I wanna drill down deeper. So, you're decided not to pursue medical school to be there for the family. Also, building your personal life as well. But you still decide to go get your master's. What was your master's degree in, and what was the kind of thought process on how you were gonna use
Right.
after?
I worked at a doctor's office. I was just answering the phones, kind of, and I'm like, what am I going to do after this? This is a dead end job. And that's not the life that I saw for myself. So I said, okay, I got to change this up. So I enrolled in a master's program, master's for public health. Um, I'm, I'm an opinionated person, but I like to think that I'm educated enough to formulate opinions. Um, and so I entered the program for health policy. So my master's degree is in public health with an emphasis in health policy. And I'm like, well, maybe I can move to DC. I could work for some think tank. I can do some research. I can help my community in some form or fashion. And so that's what I did. And while I was in my master's program, I started to do um, this technique called sister locks. I had my daughter in 2007, and I locked my hair. And I had a lot of people ask me, "Oh, I love your hair. Can you do that to mine? Can you do that to my child's hair?" I'm like, "No, I don't know how to do this. Why would they?" But I was also that person that would say, "Why let me help you with your child's hair. Let me help you, figure it out." A lot of the families were white families and black kids. So I would give them advice. Let me walk over here. I would give them advice on, what to do with their hair. So when I locked my hair, it was, oh, I love your hair. Can you do my daughter's hair? Love you too. So I said, well, let me go learn this technique. Because if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it right. I don't half step. That's just not how I'm built. So I took the class while I was still working on my master's degree, and I graduated with my master's degree. So, I'm thinking, okay, I'm a shoe in for a job. I went to St. Louis University. I grew up in St. Louis. I had the connections. I was close to my professors. I had the connections. And after I think my third or fourth job interview and the thanks but no thanks, I said, F all this BS. I ain't asking nobody for no job. I'm going to make my own way. And I had been building the clients doing the sister lock technique at my house. And that's really how it got started. If we would have bet 20 years ago that I would be doing hair, I would have lost. Like, I just never thought that I would be a business owner, let alone somebody that did hair, because I thought hairstylists were lazy or people that were uneducated. They were just trying to find a shortcut. Yeah, they're talented, but yeah, here I am. Good one. You too. So here I am. And it's just really weird because when I was still it was after I graduated college. One of my friends that graduated college went to cosmetology school right after college. And I said, girl, why are you doing that? That's backwards. I laugh every time I think about that story because I'm like, now I didn't go to cosmetology school. I refused to go to cosmetology school just on the principle that cosmetology didn't teach what I was doing. And they still don't. But yeah, I ended up being a hairstylist, being an entrepreneur. But because of just who I am, I knew I wouldn't be somebody to just do somebody's hair. I always have a mission behind what I'm doing. I'm always trying to say, how can I use this gift, this tool to better my community? And it started out as just doing hair, but I really grew into it because of the transformation that I got to see and be a part of women's journey. Because unlike any other ethnic group, when it comes to our hair, we're different. We're unique. So to see the woman grow and just become so confident and beautiful in the new way that she's wearing her hair, and just to be unapologetic, like kinky, like this, I absolutely love it. And just being able to mentor and train other women to do the same thing. That's where we are today.
Wow, just absolutely incredible. I almost don't even know where to go. There's so many questions to ask along your journey there. So I'll kind of go back a little bit. Um, what was that like for you when you were just getting started in the house as an entrepreneur? Was that a scary decision to kind of go out on your own? And was there any regret with not being able to do any of the public health stuff you had been working towards?
Hi, let me think about that. It definitely wasn't scary to start in my home. Um, because I was comfortable in my home. I was comfortable doing the technique, doing the service. Um, I saw, like, I'm a numbers person, so I did the numbers. Like, this is something that will work. And I was able to add to our family's income in the home, doing hair. I really didn't want to be in the house because I always saw myself as a professional, and I'm like, I don't want to work in the house. But I didn't have a cosmetology license. I went to a few salons to see if I could work in their salons, and the ones I went to, they were like, "No, we good." They didn't know they was turning down all of this. They ain't know. I don't even blame them. They didn't know. But there was no space for me. There was no room for me in the end. And so I had to stay at home. And even at home, I made sure to get a business license as a consulting, company in the home, so that I could feel like I am a professional. I'm doing a professional job. I'm charging an amount for the service. I make sure the customer is, warm and welcome and comfortable. And so from the very beginning, I just had that business mind. But also in the beginning, I knew that I didn't have all the business acumen, if you will, to run a business. So I went to Grace Hill Women's Business Center and did one-on-one training with a lady named Tracy Jeffries, and she is forever, and I'm forever indebted to her. And she's still here in St. Louis doing her thing, mentoring young entrepreneurs. And she always tells me how proud of me she is. And yeah, like I knew I had to go get something that I didn't possess in order to really make this a true business and to be able to scale it.
Yes, it's a key word actually that you just mentioned, scale, which I feel like is something that, we see more people in our community do now, but to your point, back in 2007, what was the perception of a hairdresser or somebody who does hair in our community for real, right? Like there wasn't as much, I think, sophistication and then just more positive outlook to where we are today. But one thing that you said, just the year 2007, I'm thinking like, wow, like here you are, like a highly, educated, intelligent, black woman with a family, still doing all of this amazing work, and you have the ability to make a career pivot and be comfortable and okay in that. And I think that's a big deal because I feel like a lot of people still kind of go through this challenge of should I pivot, should I jump into entrepreneurship? So that is amazing. You did already touch about it a little bit, definitely on the spiritual and mental side. And I would just love to hear your thoughts more about that uniqueness regarding our community in hair and why that still today is such a relevant topic in discussion for Black people.
Okay, you said a lot. What I'm trying to think what's the first thing to respond to.
Well, I was just giving you your props, like just doing all this, being an innovator back in 2007, like just being who you were back then. And that I think it provides perspective that people go through this kind of challenge of pivoting and just kind of, taking a gamble on themselves. So that was just me giving you your props to just doing that. But my question was, could you actually just, speak a little bit more about your thoughts about why our hair in our community amongst Black people is so unique? Why is it such a spiritual, mental journey for us when it comes to our hair?
I got you. So my thoughts and opinion, like when we came, you know how we got here, right? So we came here with nothing. We came here as somebody else's property. So our hair, it's there's so much trauma in our hair, because it's so unique. So to be able to say we're gonna heal the trauma and we're going to celebrate the uniqueness of our hair, it's a radical thing. And I think today the styles, the things that we do with our hair, the options that Black women have with our hair, um, it's just it's amazing. So we don't have to be slaves, if you will, to that trauma about with our hair, because earlier on in our existence we had to change up our hair, we had to assimilate, we had to not stand out and be different with our hair. But today, man, Black folks, we wearing our hair however we want, and we're celebrated in that. And we have people that want. I mean, the other groups want to have hair like ours now. They're doing all kind of weird things to their hair to look like us, and that's because we the bomb. Like I had a conversation with a lady, I think just yesterday, asking about the whole concept of wigs and why would somebody want to wear a wig? And I really wanted to get down into the depths of that. And she just said it's like a part of her outfit. It's like if my red hair might not match my outfit, so I'm gonna put on a different wig, or and I can still rock my afro when I want to. The thing about what we offer is we offer a solution at Locs of Glory. We offer a solution to a big pain point for women, and it's the fact that we can't just wash our hair and go. That's not how it goes for us. Asian women can do that. White women, they can wash their hair and go. If I wash my hair, if it wasn't in locks, I couldn't go. I just couldn't go. I would have to spend some more time. And so we answer that pain point because if you lock your hair, you can just go. You can get up in the morning and just go about your day. So I had to figure that out with saying we answer a major pain point for Black women, period. Not saying that everybody should lock their hair, but just even then the education of how to maintain your hair properly and to not have to spend hours every day or hours a week on maintaining your hair.
No, I appreciate you calling all of that out. It's very interesting because my mother has had locks probably for as long as I have been alive, or I can remember. I think she locked her hair when I was 5, and I'm 28 going on 29 now. So I grew up very just aware of, the conversation of natural hair. And it's been beautiful, honestly, to see our community kind of transform and get to a point in time where, like you said, like the confidence is there, the acceptance is there. So with what you all do at Locs of Glory, how has it been kind of just introducing some other kinds of services or therapies to people? Because we mentioned in our pre-call that y'all do a lot more than just beauty enhancement. So what has that journey been, just getting our folks educated on all other aspects of just wellness and in themselves? Oh, and you're
I
on
think you're
mute.
muted.
Yep. So we've heard the concept when you know better, you do better. And we all experienced this worldwide phenomena called COVID-19, right? Just before COVID, we were already on our way to pivoting to a place of wellness. I was having a hard time having the right staff to really run a full spa. And so in 2020, when the world shut down, we shut down. We had to to pivot. Most companies had to do some sort of pivoting. And that's where we realized, yes, we want to help women have beautiful hair. We want to answer that pain point of not spending hours on your hair every day and that outer beauty. But what about the inside? Um, we were stressed. I know I was stressed during COVID, even though, I wasn't sick. People that I know around me weren't dying, but that people had people around them dying a lot. There was a lot of racial unrest, right, with George Floyd. So in that 2020, 2021, it was a lot of stress and trauma amongst our people. And I wanted to do what we could do as a business to answer that call. And so that's where we decided we are a place of wellness, not just for your outer, but for the inner. We acquired funds because of COVID, and I was able to get a flotation room um, created and get a float tub, and then also to hire more staff to do the massages and get a sauna, the manicures and the pedicures, and just to be able to cater to the inside as well as the outside.
So talk to me a little bit about why it's so important for people that look like us to be offering these services and putting these things out there. I know I see a lot of things like that, regardless of the city you're in. For us, it's going to be the West County, the nice part of town, right, where you can find tons
Mm-hmm.
of places to get these kinds of
Mm-hmm.
services. Rarely are you seeing these in places where we live, where we work, where we exist. Talk to me a little about why it's so important for us to start these things.
Yeah, so I remember birthdays in the past. If I wanted to have just a total day of relaxation and just have a wellness day, I would have to go to West County. Um, and because I had the means, a car and I had money, I could do that. And and I had to think about, well, what about my people right here in the hood? That's they don't want to go out there and mess with white folks like that. Now it's some Black folks that just like, I can't do white people like that. So now, what are they forced to do? In order to have wellness and self care, they forego it. So my answer was to say, we right here on the dividing line of the city, not the dividing line of the city, the divide of the racial tension that was created so long ago and that we're trying to heal. We're right here on Del Mar. And what can I do to affect change to let my community know, hey, don't worry about going to West County. Come right over here to Locs of Glory. And so that's what we've been working on, because it's very important that we have a place where we can go to chill. You know, we already have that stigma about going to therapy. You know, we think it's crazy to be laying on somebody's couch talking to them. Why we want to tell somebody our business. That's a whole nother show topic in and of itself, right? But what I could give is the time away from the trauma, the time away from the stressors, to come and float, come and lay back and get a massage, come and get a manicure or even a pedicure with somebody that looks like you, that understands you, that could give you pointers and information on how to have better self-care at home. When I do, and I have a nail license now, when I do sometimes pedicures or manicures and I talk to the clients about things that they could be doing at home. Did you know this was going on with your nail? Did you know that? No, nobody has ever taken the time to tell me these things about my nails. They don't care. They don't care. They just want your money. So at Locs of Glory, we need your money in order to continue to employ women and give them the opportunity to provide for their families. But we also need for you to be well, because when you're well and you walk out of our facility, you're going to be a better mom. You're going to be a better teacher. You're going to be a better dad. You're going to be better because you've taken the time to give your brain a break, to give your body a break, to be with people that look like you and that can understand you and relate to you and make you know that it's okay to take a break. That whole strong Black woman, the Black, we don't have to do that anymore. We need rest so that we can be the best that we could be. That's it.
And I
I
think it's
almost feel like we should have recorded this in the float tank. Missed opportunity there.
you're a fool. Nah, it's really refreshing to hear this from you, Tameka, just as a business owner and also as somebody with the healthcare background, you know, public health practitioner, because that link to the economy is like is key. Not only the jobs that you're providing, but to the point, you know, you'll be a better mom, you will be a better professional, you know, from getting these services. And for so long, we were spending buku money with other people anyway that did not
Anyway,
look like us, to your point, that we're not centering us. We're not centering our lived experience, our reality, any of that. And one of the things that we chatted about briefly on the pre-call is when it comes to the beauty industry in Black America and ownership in general, in most cities, you can walk into a hair store, salon, maybe more or less, but a nail shop, and it won't be Black folk that are serving you at all. So, can you talk about just your thoughts on that and give us a call to action on where we need to go? You're obviously an example of that change, but let's just kind of dissect and get into that a little bit.
oh man, it's heavy right now, y'all, because I just closed my beauty supply store. So we've been spending most of the time today talking about Locs of Glory, because that is who I am. That is what I do. That is the business that I've grown and nurtured and pushed the envelope for the last 15 years. But 3 years ago, I was able to open a beauty supply store. The reason I opened the beauty supply store was not that I needed another thing to do, because I got plenty. The reason I opened that beauty supply store is because it was my way of fighting. And when I say that, I mean the Arab run beauty supply stores that flood our communities, they're there. I'm not the person that's finna say, let's go protest it. No, we ain't got to do that. We ain't got to go try and protest the Asian ones that want to think you stealing. We don't got to do that. We don't have to expend our energy like that. We don't have to march down the street and do that. All we have to do is come together and open our own. If we shop with us, they won't have anything else to do but to go out of business. Or they minimize and they have a certain sector of the market that's just what they're going to do. But if we create and support, patronize our own, it's a moot point at that, because the the 3 years we've had our beauty supply store open, we would get great feedback. Oh my gosh, I love coming here. Because when you come in the door, you're going to ask a question. I'm going to give you an answer. Why? Because I have the knowledge about your hair. We have a common denominator. This African blood that we have, this melanated skin, this kinky hair, we have a common denominator. You don't have that when you go in their stores. Asian people, they don't know what you need for your hair. The Arab man, he does not know. But what they know is they know how to study Black people. They do it so well because we like to be out here on social media. Our celebrities are out here on the social media platforms, and this internet has made everything so much more easier to study us and what we do. And then they just go take all of their money and resources and cater to us. Um, and the reason I end up having to close my store is because the finances just didn't work anymore. We were not making the revenue that we need, and it's a lot of reasons to it. And I'll summarize it by saying this: the vision that I have now about the beauty supply store is not the same one that I had when I started. I had to learn it. I had to learn that I can't do this by myself. There have been other people that have opened beauty supply stores in the city of St. Louis and they've closed them. I thought that I could do it and do it right because I've run a business. And it's way more than just knowing how to run a business. So I closed the store and I have the vision to rebrand, recreate it, bring it back. But it's a 3-legged stool. And right now I just have one leg. I have the vision. I need the partnerships and I need the finances. I've put so much of my own personal money into the store thus far. I have no more to put in. I do not have the desire to have more debt than what I can handle at this point. But the vision is still there. It is there and it is necessary. And if I can get the right people to the table to see this, I know we'll be successful. I know we'll be successful.
No, absolutely. And I mean, and Locks of Glory is already amazing. So I can only imagine just the rebrand and what is gonna be. And I just want to say quickly, and I just saw you come off mute, but I think this is so important. My wife, wears her hair natural, kind of out in like a fro, kinky curly fro. And there we lived in U City, so not far from Locks of Glory, right off of Olive Boulevard. And there are a couple of beauty stores on Olive Boulevard, and I believe none of them are Black owned. And the first time that I went into one with my wife and just seeing all the sisters of all age as well, like, everybody and their mamas in these stores, and just seeing the total disregard for like even just like customer service in general. And it
Mm-hmm.
hit me like in that moment, like, wow, like this is a real business plan. Like everything that we're seeing, the amount of customers and the traffic that they have, and just all the products they know, like what to pick, like they, to your point, really would have had to study. Like this is something that is a sophisticated operation, which is why we see it in every city you go to, every major city in America.
Mm-hmm.
And us as consumers like don't ever stop and be like, wait a minute, why am I in this store? Like these folks don't really like what's going on here. We could be, putting our dollars into somewhere totally different. And so I just appreciate you in your humility and even saying like I gotta, pause, need some more support before I jump back into it. But I just want to say thank you for speaking to that because I think that's just a very important conversation we need to continue to have in the community.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I couldn't agree more. And the only thing I wanted to add to that was saying sorry that it didn't work out, and you guys just had to close that down. I know I was so excited about that when we spoke when I was in the salon. So I would actually love to hear a little bit about what if you're willing to share, that is, what your vision is for what didn't work and where you kind of see it going, and then also for yourself and for Locks of Glory. You're already running a successful business. I believe you started or are doing a PhD. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about what's next in the journey for you and for your business and businesses.
Okay, you put a lot of questions in there, Nigel. I think I followed them. So the first thing, the vision for the beauty supply store, it will be And I'm saying it will be because I'm claiming that there will be a rebirth. Because I feel like there must be one. It'll be the home for the naturalista. Right now, women are leaving chemicals behind in droves. Do you hear me? People, Black people in particular, are becoming more health conscious, more aware of what we're putting in our bodies, what we're putting on our bodies. The messaging is getting out there. Just how we've been conditioned and programmed to think that what we have is less and we want to go and seek it out from others, going to the Asian owned this, the white owned this. We've and there's a lot of history to that, right? When like when our grandparents, they would want to see the white male doctor. Why? Because they were programmed, they were conditioned to think that white was better. The same thing. So the same conditioning that it took to bring us to this point, to make us feel like, oh, we got to go to their stores, we have to continue with the messaging. So, and it's been working. We're seeing more people saying, oh, no, I don't want to use that because I know that's not healthy. That could cause cancer. I don't want to put that on my skin. I'm not wearing the relaxers anymore. I'm not using that product anymore. That has a lot of alcohol in it. That has a lot of parabens in it. People are really becoming aware, and that excites me like no other. So this concept of a store that caters to the naturalista, I think it's the wisest choice to go. And in that vision, I see Black owned manufacturers, um, local and globally, their products in the store. The store will have good products. So I can say some names of some popular brands that you would know, but I'm not going to put them on blast like that. But they won't be in the new store. If you got a lot of crap, a lot of junk out in the products, they won't be in the store. Why? Because the store is an extension of me. I don't want my people to have horrible products. I want a store filled with great products at various price points that you can choose from, because maybe you have a drier scalp, maybe your scalp secretes a lot of oil. So it's just a matter of what you need. It's not a matter of a horrible product or not. So that's the new vision. And then African imports, African inspired clothing, goods, jewelry, because that's the connection to where we come from. And so there's a movement in St. Louis, and I believe around the country, and in some places it's slower than others, of that connection. We have to go back to that connection from where we came, and make that prevalent in our everyday lives. So I want that to be in our store. You're not going to find that in one of their stores. They don't care about that connection. We do. We want our community to be able to come in our store and be greeted by somebody that looks like them, and be have one of our persons explain what products that they should look at based on what they present. And oh, what's this? Oh, that's an adinkra symbol. It means this. Oh, that fabric is this. It means that. And to educate the community, because the little part that we've been doing with the store for 3 years, I know it. I mean, the people, they love it. So that's the vision for that, for the beauty supply store. So I know it'll come. And then the next part of that is, I see myself, when we open this store up again, to collaborate with several other business owners. I don't want to be the only owner of the store. You know why? If we have 3 or 4 people that will come to the table and run this store and get it to a point of success, now we have another 3 people that can go out and open up 3 stores right off the bat, because they know the operations, they know the marketing campaigns, they know the strategies. And that's how we build and shut the other people out. And I'm not saying to shut them out because they're not worthy of this and the other, but it's over a $6 billion industry, and we barely get 2% of it. But we are the number one consumers in all the major cities. The city of St. Louis is barely 50% Black, right? Barely 50%. But just about all of the beauty supply stores are Asian or Arab owned. It makes no sense. Like, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And so we have to change that. And if we can do that in the beauty industry to grow the collaborations, my vision, I see all the churches, it's so many Black churches in the city of St. Louis. If all the Black churches say, hey, we got to get behind these Black owned beauty supply stores. We gotta make sure that they know we're here and we support them and we go shop. if the major organizations in St. Louis, like the Urban League, the Better Family Lives, the community centers, the Mission St. Louis, all of those places say, hey, we're mission led to help this community, which is predominantly Black. If they get behind it, then the messaging is even more clear, it's even more prevalent, and we win. We grow. The revenues are there to sustain the businesses. It's not rocket science, really. It's really not. It's just a matter of us coming together and stop operating in silos, which is what they want us to do. When we operate in silos, we don't get very far. We have to come together. I've been talking for a while. I know you asked me some more parts to the question, Nigel.
No, I think that was fantastic. I was really just asking about what the next steps of the journey were. And sometimes I run my mouth a little too much.
But in terms of Locs of Glory, we're positioned to be at least at 7 figures by 2025. Taking us a
Amazing.
little longer to get there than what, but it took me a while to learn the strategies, to get my mindset in a place to where I believe that we are more than capable of having a 7-figure and beyond business. Would that mean opening another location? Maybe. I've been asked for plenty of years about opening a second location. And my answer is, let me bust this one out the seams first. Let me get so many of the kinks worked out in this one first, then perhaps. But it's a lot to run this operation here. We reached a milestone last year. I was able to come from behind the chair full time and to really focus on being the CEO of the company. And oftentimes I'm led to tears when I think about it, because I get pay myself every 2 weeks, whether I'm doing hair or not. And the business is able to sustain that. And so we just want to keep pushing. I have a manager. This is just me being honest. My manager, she makes more than me because she's a single mom. Her financial situation is different than mine. I have a husband that contributes to our house. She runs the day-to-day operations of the business. She's there on the scenes when I'm not. She deserves to be paid what she's getting. And the simple fact that our business is able to pay us, man, I'm
You dropping a lot of bombs over here, just like some big, heavy bragging rights. Tameka, you are amazing. The work that you have done to this point is amazing. I just also want to call out, um, thank you for staying in St. Louis and being a representation of the possibility, and of the opportunity that is there. Clearly you still have a lot to contribute and a lot to give to the world. But just on your journey so far, as we kind of wrap up our conversation, I would just want to ask, what is that one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who is ready or feels like it is their time to jump into the entrepreneurial space and just pivot away from all the BS that we're conditioned to think is how we're supposed to move and advance and give back? What's that one piece of advice that you would give to them?
one piece of advice. Don't do it alone. It's 2 of you guys here for a reason. We've heard the old adage, many hands make light work. So if you have a vision as an entrepreneur of what you want to do, what you want to contribute to the world, start and build a team. Surround yourself with people that are visionaries, that are hard workers, that are other entrepreneurs. And even if they're not necessarily entrepreneurs, because there's some corporate people that the day-to-day, they kind of can mimic entrepreneurs, but don't do it alone.
I love that. No, I appreciate that. And it's definitely been something that's come through your story. Just I think the belief that you've instilled in other people so that they could instill in you. So I really do appreciate just that piece of advice. Um Nigel, I wasn't sure if you had any rapid fire questions, but Tameka just wanted to give you a chance to also plug yourself and plug Locs of Glory in terms of people being able to find out more, maybe book, some services with you all. And then I don't know if you're on any social media for folks to just follow CEO Tameka and what she's up to. But
To the Tameka be low key. You hear me? I be working. I have 2 kids, a husband. We have a nonprofit we were able to start last year. So the youth is everything to me because I was poured into as a youth, and that changed the trajectory of my entire life. So we have beauty boot camp for girls, and we actually have our third summer session that starts June 3rd. So yes, definitely want to plug that. Registration is still open. Camp is for 4 weeks. We mentor 2 girls, grades 6th through 11th grade. We help them with self-confidence, with social issues and how to show up and be their true authentic self, all through the idea of future entrepreneurship and cosmetology as a skill. So we teach them the skills. We help them find their voice. The girls, when they come in on the first day, they're kind of timid and shy. They don't know anybody. And by the end, they're friends, they're talking. They put their own show together at the end, and do a showcase and graduation. That program was just the brain work of myself and another uh, stylist who has bachelor's and master's. And so we have very similar history of how we came into the beauty industry, and just want to give back to the youth. And we are trying to make that program a year-long program that will be free for girls in the city of St. Louis. So all the praying people out there, or if you know anybody that works for the city of St. Louis and the Office of Violence Prevention, we have a grant application with them. And we also have a grant application in with the Board of Aldermen, because they also give money for programs like that. If we can get that money, I'm telling y'all, hey, it's on, and it won't stop, because from there I have a lady that we can partner with and push the program for boys. And I'm really trying to find out how I can take this and get a PhD and do a prospective study to have measurable outcomes. What are we looking at now? What are the crime stats right now for our youth? They're pretty staggering. What can we do to drop those numbers, to have an impact on our youth, and look at it over a 3 or 5 year time span? I'm excited about that. So if you guys know anyone, I was accepted into the PhD program at UMSL about maybe 14 years ago. But I do think that this is something that could be a dope PhD project, and I'm excited about it. And yeah, that is. And then you can of course find Locs of Glory on all the platforms. Locs of Glory is LOCS, Locs of Glory. We would love some more campers. We would love for your viewers to come out and of course get services. Grants and loans are great ways to help a business, but the best form of support, the best form of supporting a business and keeping it growing is revenues. It's just that simple. So come and get a service done. Send your girls to our beauty boot camp for the month of June, and stay tuned and follow us and see how much more we can grow and transform the city that I love and the city that I call home, St. Louis.
Man, just everything you're saying. This could have been a 2, 3 hour episode, to be honest. There's just always something more that I want to talk to you more about. But um, I want to go ahead and just thank you so much for coming on today, for sharing all this wisdom, sharing your story, sharing where you are and where you're going. I know I learned so much just in the time where you were helping me with my hair in the shop. And I got to pause here. I know you said you do hair for women, but fellas, she'll hook you up too, man. She got me looking clean, locks way better than they had been since they started. I came in a little rough. She didn't judge me or anything. It was great. And so I couldn't give enough shout outs about the shop and about you, Tameka. I've learned so much from you today, and I hope our listeners will too. I'm feeling fired up just from this conversation. So thank you so much for everything. So we usually end these episodes with 3 rapid fire questions. We get pretty heavy with the questions during the show, so this is a little lighter. So this will be just 3 kind of random get to know you type questions. You ready? All right. What movie is your favorite?
Oh my gosh. When I want to laugh, don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Well, my next question was going to be what never fails to make you laugh, but you kind of already got that one. So, what's your favorite way to work out?
You said what's my favorite way to work out?
Hmm.
Mm, not gonna say that answer. I like swimming and I like basketball.
If you were to write a book, what would it be about?
Wow, I'm in the process of writing like 3 books. And that's why I started writing one and it's like, where is this going? It seems like these 3 different books. About my life. Yeah.
I respect it. Well, that's all I had. Winston, did you have anything else to add on before we close out?
No, this has been amazing. Tameka, again, thank you for just giving us a lot of game. You gave us a lot of game, shared your story and a lot of inspiration as well. So I just appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm so happy I was able to come and chat with you guys. And yeah, it has me thinking like, okay, what's going on with me? So yeah, I'm glad I was able to share this time with you guys. And I look forward to hearing more of your episodes. And thank you for the work that you're doing with sharing knowledge and connecting people with the information. You're a conduit, and it's a big deal, and you have big shoes to fill to bring the information and the knowledge to the people. So I commend you guys on that, and I thank you for allowing me to share your platform today because you didn't have to. I appreciate that.